On this channel, we normally talk about business and investing topics, but many of our decisions can also have an impact to our families. And sometimes the choices we make will lead to one of our spouses or ourselves to be a trailing spouse. A trailing spouse is someone who follows their life partner to another city or even another country because of their profession. Whether they are in the military families move a lot, or in the business, you could be an expat, or even in politics. One of the most popular examples of a trailing spouse is Michelle Obama, who went to the White House with Barack Obama for 8 years. So today, I'm joined with Elizabeth
Hi.
and Katherine to talk about their experiences becoming a trailing spouse, how they manage finances in this role, and how they have grown over the years being a trailing spouse. Welcome back to Investing in Daren. Click the subscribe button to stay updated to more interviews like this. So Elizabeth and Katherine, tell us more about yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth. We met quite a while back, and that was actually while I was on my first trailing spouse assignment in Malaysia, and I've been a trailing spouse since 2012, and now we're back home in Singapore due to the special circumstances, and by chance I bumped into Daren again and have this opportunity here with you to share with everyone about my experience with a trailing spouse. And during this journey, I met Katherine.
Yes. Well, I am Katherine, and I have been a trailing spouse around the same amount of time. I think 2012 is when that started for me. I come from a little farther across the world, but I recently met Liz in this last gig, I guess, in the last few years, and it's and we've become quick, close friends.
So let's talk about being a trailing spouse, which is not something that many of us prepare our lives for. Sometimes it happens to us. How did your journey as a trailing spouse begin?
For me, I met my better half when he was an expat in Singapore. So I knew that if we're gonna get serious, that slightly in a card for me to be a trailing spouse. And indeed, he had an opportunity to move to Malaysia, and he asked me to move with him. And I said, okay. And that's how it began. And what about you?
Well, we had recently gotten married about 3 years before. My husband's job offered him different opportunities around the world, and we kind of put our name in as, yes, we would like to do that. And very shortly after we did that, we got an opportunity came about, and we took it. And that's what started about 3 years after we got married. So it's been since 2012. So
These
that was
are
history.
life-changing decisions. They're not easy to make. What were your biggest fears making this call?
What if things don't work out? Who do I run to when I'm out from my home
Yeah.
base? How do I get home?
Yeah.
That's a worst case scenario. Of course, you don't have your comfort zone to run to, your safety blanket. So that was probably the knee-jerk reaction from my mom as well. But she was assuring, like, just come home. If anything happens, come home. We're here. Yeah. So that was very reassuring.
I think that was a big fear for me too, but we discussed it back and forth, and it came down to we try it for a year, and we just come home with that. There are sacrifices with that, but it's not the end of the world. Or at least I come home, and then we figure out the rest from there, because that's the beauty that we had without having kids. We didn't have, decisions are a lot different now.
Yeah.
But being just two adults figuring it out, we were able to figure it out. And we kind of just had a plan for the basic big struggles. But we were moving, our first country was a very hardship country, very foreign. And we just check the boxes with, we have housing and we have medical, and then we'll figure it out from there. And we can't figure it out until we get there.
Yep.
So that was the big goal, was to move over there, figure it out,
Yep.
and then come back if we need to.
One step at a time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
one step at a time,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Many trailing spouses are also highly driven, highly educated professionals themselves before making this move. So can you tell us, the audience, a little bit more about your careers before being a trailing spouse, and then the lifestyle adjustment that happened in the initial months?
That's a question for the last life we
Yeah,
had. It's
it's a
another
whole nother
lifetime.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was previously in the service industry. I was working with an airline for a handful of years, and by chance I got into recruitment. And after I left the airline, I was doing recruitment in Singapore. Then my better half came to me with, "Hey, we have this opportunity." And we went on board. And lucky for me, I have established contacts in recruitment. And someone tapped me from the home base Singapore office, because I'm Singaporean, that say, "Hey, we need help up in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur office, and can you do it?" So I went into helping them on a contractual role, short term. And then from there, another company tapped me on the shoulder, "Are you done with the company? Come on in, because we need you." And I kind of hop around, and that's actually how I met Daren during one of the stints.
Yeah.
And moving on from there, moving on to other countries, different contexts, but we started a family, decided to start a family, so that's where my focus went. And ever since, it's just different
Just a full-time-
lifestyle.
Different
lifestyle.
full-time job. The funny thing is I graduated high school, and then I went back, or graduated college, and then I went back for nursing. And I had recently come out and started my new career in nursing, and then we had this opportunity. So I was fresh off the boat in nursing, and so I didn't transfer that directly, like, to a company or find a job. We went to a country where I couldn't work, wasn't legally allowed to, and so I did. Throughout that time, I ended up going back getting CPR teaching, and my certification for that. So I did that for expats around the compound, and for employees at for the compound that we lived in. I certified them, and I did lots of classes like that. And for our volunteer teachers at the kids' school, I did that. And I poured my heart into charity work. But the nursing came out in different ways. I do charity wherever I could.
Yeah.
Or being that person, you can call me anytime if your kid gets sick. I'm not an expert, but I can tell you when you should go in or when it's okay
Yeah.
to stay home.
I guess the common ground with a lot of trailing spouses or expat wives in this scenario, we often start doing volunteer work to fill our time, to find our passion, and then make friends. Or we have friends that are already doing volunteer work, bring you in, because we have a bit of time in our hand and we have skills. We
Yeah.
we have skills that can be put in good use, knowledge to be shared, and very often comes handy when it comes to volunteering.
Get creative.
Yeah. Time is valuable, and you get to make better use of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not having, and this might come up later, but having the financial freedom. You know, my passion originally at the university was going into volunteer work, was doing that, but I had to work, I had to have an income.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have time to put
Yeah.
all of that fundraising time that I wanted to. I had to work 9 to 5 and or 11 to 7 or whatever. And so I wasn't able to do all that and pad for doing event planning or charity work. And so this has given me that, our first opportunity was a very hardship country, which means there was a lot of need for fundraising and support and events, and I was able to do that. So time is valuable, and was able to have that time.
Yeah.
So that was of a lot of benefit.
It sounds like a gift that this opportunity gave you the opportunity to pursue a passion to give back.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Both of you make big changes in your decision to be a trailing spouse. And for many people, the question is, do you feel like an equal partner in a relationship?
Interesting. There are moments. It kind of a bit of a cycle. For me, a lot of times it's actually my own thoughts, my own emotions. I'm often being assured that, of course, I'm an equal partner. Very simple scenario, because my partner has a career, a job to run. He can't look after the household, even 3 kids. So yes, we found a place he's happy with. He has to go off to work. Moving, furnishing, maintenance, housekeeping, groceries. Sounds mundane, but it comes into our care. So we have to call shots from there, make a decision from there. It's not as maybe in the Asian culture or in general that because we're not generating income, therefore it's a less valued position. But my partner can't function. He can't put his heart and soul into work 100% while he's at work if things are not working at home. So it's equal in the sense that I need him to generate the income so I can look after this household and he can work in peace. So yes, I am an equal partner in that sense.
And I believe that I am too. If you talk to my spouse, if you ever gave him a hint that I wasn't, or if I ever questioned that, oh my, I'm so sorry, he definitely wants me to feel like an equal. Even prior to going expat, his job generated more income just in general, and that was kind of stated from the beginning. It was always ours, as long as we were both working and living together. It was always ours, and I've always been put at the equal because I am making the decisions that I'm not calling him for. I'm not asking. He's getting home from work and I'm saying, oh, by the way, this is what's happening. He's like, okay, what doesn't matter? Or he'll ask why, just because he wants to be in the know. Yeah. And then it's just information. Yeah. And that's just, that's how we functioned before, but we were both just living 2 separate lives, 2 separate jobs, whatever, and then coming together at the end. He's coming back, and I've been kind of doing all this stuff. But he can blindly, if you want to say that, trust that everything he needs handled is being handled. Or if he is too busy at work, he can ask me lightly to handle something. Yeah. And he doesn't have an official secretary.
Yeah. It feels
anything,
like that.
anything for the company. Yes, official secretary. All other things, he's not asking her or him for.
Right.
He's asking me for. Which is fine. We do a lot of communication over email as well, which is interesting, especially right now because we live in the same house and he's working from home. Yeah. But that still hasn't changed. We still do a lot of communication by email.
I just shout across the hallway.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It sounds that being equal doesn't mean being the same.
Yeah.
It really means carving out the different roles for both partners to manage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When we think about a trading spouse, we think about traveling to new countries, meeting new people, enjoying new experiences, seeing new cultures. That's good. But what are the underrated perks of being a trailing spouse?
It's a bit cliche answer for me, but if you do look at maybe an expat page, which you need to be verified to join that you're expat, friendships. You make lifelong friendship in such short time, but coining from the girly term, really blossoms buddies because you are on the similar path, similar frequency, going through same struggle, and you kind of hit it off. You got it right there. You don't have to say too much to the person like, I got you right there. Yeah. I'm with you. Don't worry. And it's just almost instantaneous. and maybe sometimes take a couple of times before I hit it
Yeah.
out. But these lifelong friends,
Even if you don't talk every day.
you don't. But there are moments, just things happen. Just go straight to your phone, you text that buddy across the world at 3 a.m. She's sleeping, and she will see the person. And guess what happened? That is something
It's invaluable.
not talk about. It's
Yeah.
mentioned about the great friendship,
Yeah.
but the level. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'm on the lucky side. I met some amazing friends
Yeah.
in my journey, and these are friends for life. And they are literally your family in that foreign country. They will come to you when you're sick with food,
Yeah.
watch shows with you, fall asleep on each other's couch in the afternoon when the husband's out of work.
Yeah.
They become family. And aside from the traveling, the fun, the brunches, the ladies' lunches, you name it, without those friends, that is nothing to me. So that is definitely one of the underrated parts.
I think the underrated part, I agree with that, is the friendships, but it's also the type of friendships, how they blossom, because everybody does kind of subconsciously know we've got to know or not. Like, I'm not going to be wasting my time if I can't stand you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really happen very often, because there's also an underrated perk of when you're meeting somebody new. Even if you come from completely different worlds, you still have something in common. You both are still foreigners in a not common place. And that kind of subconsciously bonds you a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can get over any anxieties a little bit that you have about meeting somebody, or, oh, they don't do this, or they don't do that, but they're in the same mindset you are, usually on that level. So you can always bond over not having any idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think an underrated perk is also what we just mentioned, time. We feel like we are going all the time as expats, because we're somewhere, we get comfortable, and then we leave.
Yeah.
But it is, we do have, as trailing spouses, sometimes we do have that little extra time to take in that extra 5 minutes with a friend, or what, and that might be doing a task together for moving. I might have just met her and we're best friends, and now she's helping me move.
Yeah.
And I don't find a lot of tears in the expat world but it's like, bye, because we have the benefit of possibly seeing each other again.
We make plans like,
Yeah.
great, you're moving there, you go suss it out.
Yeah.
I'm coming when you got the itinerary plan.
Yeah.
You got to take me around.
Yeah.
There's always another adventure ahead with a buddy.
Whether it's a vacation or a move.
Yeah.
Where, I might possibly be moving there in 2 years. I'll see
Yeah.
you.
And
That's
like,
happened with a few of our friends.
we don't do tears.
Yeah,
We
no.
don't. We go see you later. See you when I see you.
Yeah, and I got introduced to that when I first moved to our first country that we moved to, and I saw some people leave ahead of me that I made really, really tight friends with. I was in a very small expat community, and they left, and they were kind of experts at it, and they just kind of left, and we're like, bye. And I was like, okay, that's how we do it. Yeah,
I'll see you. You have to visit me. That assurance. You have to visit me. I'm coming. Even if they don't, I'm coming to you. That's it.
These friendships seem like such an important part of the community, especially as you constantly move to new locations. You do feel like an outsider, and a group of outsiders coming together, becoming your own insiders in a
Yeah,
sense of shared
absolutely.
experiences, shared joys, and also shared challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you have a hardship, and even moving to a new country, it's perfectly nice and easy is a hardship.
Yes.
But then on top of that, some of the experiences I've had, I've moved to hardship countries, and that on top of it, you're also dealing with what people there are dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
just in a different way, and you're looked at differently.
Yeah.
And you're isolated, and so to have somebody be isolated with is nice.
I want
It's
to
huge
talk
benefit.
about the isolation, because when you search for trailing spouse, on page 1, most of the results are about isolation and mental health.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about what you personally experience as the biggest challenge being a trailing spouse.
Like I mentioned, it's very much a cycle. When you get news, we're going to a new place, there's excitement, you start researching about the place, If you have friends there, great. You reach out for tips, you join the expat group in that place, you ask for help, tips, location, schools, clinic, doctors, whatever, the usuals, the food, supermarket, what to expect. And all that come in a hurry, you get there, you settle down, everything is done. Partner goes to work, husband goes to work, children go to school, and it hits you. Now what? Now what? Okay, update my friends what's going on. I will go check out this place, I will go check out that place. Yeah, on my own. And this is where the expat circle comes in. Normally, we tend to live in a bit more expat filled buildings. And when an expat recognizes a new expat, it's an almost knee-jerk reaction to say, take them under your wings. Or say, hey, you're new, come join us for coffee. Come join us for this. And I guess it's a little easier when you become a mom. Because the school moms, if you're in an international school or a multiracial school, multinationality school, you recognize that, oh, there's a new mom, come let's get her for coffee with us, or let the boys or kids play. When you're pre-kid stage, that's a bit of struggle.
I recognize that in when I first started in a hardship country, I didn't. Everybody had aspirations of going and moving to easier countries, like I say, not third world countries, or like a London or a Singapore or something like that. And I was like, no, I'm not ready to do that as an expat. I need a kid first. I'm not going to rush to do that right this second, but that's my end to that community, to that non-expat community. When you're in a hardship country, you're all expats, you're all foreigners, you're all kind of just, I'm used to that. That's what I like. That's why I'm comfortable going wherever, because I know it'll kind of be kind of provided a little bit.
So
inadvertently.
But like the interesting bit is I see it as a cycle, not just for myself, but to others as well. We will go through the excitement, come the loneliness, even while you're searching for that new buddy. Definitely, because you meet friends, you have to go, and after the coffee, you're like, okay, that was good, but
it's a little bit like dating.
Thank you. Absolutely, it is dating.
Meeting friends is meeting expat friends as a woman, or as a mom or a spouse. It is like dating.
Yeah.
You leave an interaction with, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that, or oh, I wonder if they liked that. Oh, or I think we hit it off, and then the next time you see them, they're like oh, I read that wrong. It's a lot of that. It's literally like dating.
Yeah. There's a lot of self-questioning, and maybe because we are naturally a little more independent. For me, I'm okay to function on my own, to go find places on. I quite like being alone, traveling, finding new places. Maybe because I'm impatient, I don't like to wait on people. So I'm quite happy to find new places on myself. But there comes the time where a husband go on a work trip, 7 days. You are on your own completely. There's only so many places you can go on your own. A quiet time at night, that hits you hard. You miss home.
Yeah.
If you have time difference, you can't call your friends back home. And it kicks in. And that's where your emotional well-being and mental health has to be in check. You have to be wary of what you're going through. Because when you're alone in a foreign place, it's really quite scary. So that is something about isolation that hit me right back. When you say the word isolation, I think about emotional well-being and mental health is very, very important.
And it's very important to recognize that when you're in a healthy state, when you're in a happy state and comfortable, to recognize that that's a possibility and that you need to have a plan for that.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out whatever that is. I need to stop. My husband and I need to go do something. I need to talk to him. I need to set up when I get to a new country. Where do I go for that?
Yes.
Do I need therapy? Do I need online? You have to have a plan when you're in that healthy state.
Absolutely.
Because that is, I you also have to give yourself. I'm very social, and I kind of pushed Luke a little bit to go, to step out and let's go do this, and move to our first country, and then I've always been that propeller and the social propeller, but I have to tell myself it is okay to have a hermit day.
Yeah.
It's okay, even if you have a kid, if you guys just want to stay in and play, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it is important to meet people right away, so you can't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because you're only there for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have no idea.
Yeah. Good point.
And all these processes comes with different challenges. Sometimes you move to a country where the culture is totally different, even though they speak the same language. Sometimes the language is completely different, and you may even need translators just to do daily tasks.
Yeah.
Google Translate becomes your best friend sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't just go through this journey ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Our own family goes through this as well.
Yes.
And you often have to become the pillar of strength, the lighthouse for the family.
Yes.
Imagine 5-year-old kids saying, I don't want to leave my best friend for life. Why am I moving to a new place?
Yes.
How do you play that role as almost like a lighthouse, a guardian for the family, yet allowing yourself to be vulnerable?
I would say time and preparation. Everything happens. For some, you might be moving someplace where you know you're going to be there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
For us, that's not how it's been. We know we don't know how long, but we know it could be very short.
Yeah.
And now, having a kid, and he's young enough that he's still kind of fluid with school and things, but I've noticed, particularly this trip, I'm taking the opportunity to be aware of other people leaving and using that. The first time he's going to experience that isn't through him leaving. It's going to be other people leaving him, and he's already expressed he's sad about that. Some of it's because he knows he's supposed to be. It's like kind of repetitive, just I'm supposed to say that. But then there are some that he's genuinely reflective of, and I just kind of hone in on how he's dealing with that. Well, I want to go do this for them before they leave. I'm like, that's healthy, that's good. And then I will have to be prepared to support when those people do leave. And then I can use that to explain to him when we do leave with other people. But it's just time and preparation.
Yeah.
And easing everything into it. Yeah. And my husband as well with me is he kind of has a hint of what might be coming up. He doesn't blindside me with it.
Yeah.
But the moment he mentions it, I also don't run with that.
Yeah.
I know that this could be on the horizon in 3 years. It could also be in a year. I know that. But he does mitigate that a little for me. He gives me time, but definitely not right before. He definitely would never, unless it was an absolute have-to thing. Mm-hmm. And I think over the years we kind of live life as that's our expectation. You know, even him with his job, if they know that they're not going to expect it to just turn over and leave somewhere. And if that's the case, I'm here, I'm fine. My family needs time here. My side of the family needs time. You go ahead and go what you need to do for work. Go ahead, we'll get there. Yeah. Kind of live. We definitely co-parent in that respect. Yeah. We're definitely a team in that respect, where we have to split. Yeah. Somewhat.
Yeah, just to go through like a adjustment time, a bit of recovery time. Yes, being the lighthouse of the family. Firstly, really, I have to deal with the situation first. I have to let myself go through the emotions, deal with it. So I will be calm when I explain it. So with my upcoming departure, I've started telling our little boy that, look, we have to get on the plane. We will have to go back to our other house, and remember your old friends. You're gonna make new friends, your school and everything. His knee jerk reaction is no. I love my friends here. I've got friends here. I love Singapore. And you go like, great.
You're like, it's not the time to cry. Not the time to cry. If you
Yeah.
want to, it just breaks
Yeah.
your heart.
Yeah, and you go like, great. I'll try that again in 2 days. How about that new toy that they will have it over there? No, I love Singapore. I mean, the national education is doing well in the school, clearly.
Yeah.
You know, he's having a great time here. And
Yeah, we have to give them that.
yeah, it's just a constant reminder, hoping it will sink in that a departure is in the cards.
Yes.
But we're here, we're going together. Mommy is here, Daddy is here, you know, Mimi is here, we're going together. And you have friends there. Yeah, assurance that if anything happens, I'm right here with you. You know, that you have someone that's the minimal I can give.
And I think it's important that we have also kind of discovered that it's very important. The basic thing with kids is safety.
Yeah.
It's not, just saying, you're safe, don't be afraid. It's not that, it's a subconscious feeling of just general safety.
Yeah.
Everything is okay around them, they feel safe. That is also with adults.
Yeah.
Like when,
Yeah.
when we didn't have kids, Luke was concerned about me feeling safe in
Yes,
general.
absolutely.
Meaning, do I have an exit plan mentally? Do I have an exit plan physically? Do I have freedoms?
Yeah.
You know, to be my own person. You know, do I get to do what I want physically safely and mentally safely?
Mental safety, yeah.
And so we revert to that.
Yeah.
And then now we have kids and we have to instill that in them.
Yeah.
And know at the end of the night when we go to bed that, okay, we did our job. They feel we've provided them safety.
Yeah.
You know, even if they're upset or they're crying, you have to be strong. Not cry too. But allow them to know that it's okay.
Yeah.
To get them.
I can't imagine going through that, not just once, but sometimes multiple times throughout
Many
your life.
times, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we might get to this a little more further on. Is we also have turned to realize that we carry on.
Yeah.
It's not
That
just
too.
been conditioned to us. This is life that we need to do this. It's that I don't think we would be in the same place. I'm not going to say necessarily with our marriage, but we would just definitely be in a different relationship, not bad or good.
Yeah.
But in a different place than we are now if we wouldn't have left.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were bored. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
But we were kind of bored at home, just living kind of a cookie cutter lifestyle.
Yeah.
And why that's fine and normal and great for our families, that we moved over. And then we realized, oh yeah, it would have been hard.
Yeah.
Harder for us than always having something going on.
Yeah.
That's what we needed.
Going through all these hardships, I was reading a stat recently because my wife and I were talking about it. Like the global divorce rate right now is about 40 to 50%. It varies by countries and culture. And the most common reason for divorce is people grow apart.
Yep.
And the thing with going through hardships together is
Yep.
that it's an opportunity to grow together.
Absolutely.
And facing
have to.
challenges strengthens the relationship,
Yep.
it refreshes the dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps everyone on their toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing ever becomes stagnant.
And a very wise gentleman who was an expat in Singapore actually encouraged me to move with Damien back then, my husband back then. We were not married when we moved. He looked at me and said, the only way you know if he is the one for you is to move with him, because there's an opportunity for you both to grow together. You start from ground zero. You're not going to have friends. You might have colleagues. He might have colleagues. But this is where you're going to be each other's friend for a while. And if you make it, that's a great foundation. If you can't, there you go. You have your answer. So
We were new in our marriage, and we kind of we were getting to the point where we're like, do we want to redo our house, put money into redoing our house, or sell it and move somewhere else? We were already antsy at that point, just after a few years, and then that opportunity came up. We're like, well, that decision's been made for us, just selling the house. So and we left, and we realized not prior, like you kind of had that discussion prior, we just went and did it. And then after being in that situation a few years, I realized it was like, I don't know that I would say we dodged a bullet, but we definitely would have just been two different people than we are now. We rely on each other in a different way.
Yeah.
There was a Netflix series recently called Countdown, the Mission for Inspiration 4, where the civilian astronauts went to space.
Yep.
And it touched about the journey between the spouses.
Yes.
So the spouses who are astronauts, both male and female, they bear the risk of going to space.
Yes.
Anything can happen. But the spouse left behind, bear the consequences of the risk.
Yeah.
That means if something happens to them,
Yeah.
they are
They
living in
can-
the consequences. And there's a lot of hardships, there were a lot of tensions as the astronauts prepared for their flight. But ultimately, it brought the family closer together.
Yes.
And of course, those families in that journey together, they were really families with each other.
Yes.
Almost like the expat or trading spouse community in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and you
Absolutely.
begin to value, and you instill it in your children too, to value the moments a little bit more, and not consciously.
Yeah.
Mm.
You just value. It's kind of like there's this rush. You get there, and you have to have some downtime and get adjusted to the new country. But you get on with it
Yeah.
and move on, even if you may not really want to. Right
Yeah.
then, at that moment, you kind of do, and nod and smile, through something, and then you begin to enjoy because you know that, and you know opportunities. I'm not going to have this opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not just rushing time. It's, I'm not going to come back to this country again. I mean, our first country was Angola. I don't think I'm going to travel there on vacation. It's just not. It's not a number one destination. So when we were there, we did take opportunities. We did say, well, we're probably never going to get to do this.
Yeah.
We might as well.
Yeah.
And now I can say I've seen some places that people have never even heard of.
Yeah.
And that I had never even heard of.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. And we have to instill that in our kids too.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one gift that may not be as apparent to people. So you talk about thriving in constant changes.
Yes.
For many people, we often spend too much time living in the past or living in the future
Mm-hmm.
that we forget about the present.
Yeah.
But given the circumstance, thinking about the past or future is a luxury.
Yeah.
You're almost forced to be in the present a lot more.
Yeah. Indeed.
How have you noticed that as a gift for yourself and your family?
You don't waste time. We get along. You stick together. Like our sons get along, play dates, or you find things to do to make memories. I try to expose her to a local food or
thanks.
experiences.
Yeah. All the things, which I appreciate.
Because having been an expat out of my own home, you live in a bubble if you only mingle with the expat. There are places you need a local to take you.
Yeah. And that's
Because
not
of the
always easy
language.
to find.
Yeah, the language, the experience, that's the way to blend in. Lucky me, I've majorly moved in around Asia, so I kind of blend in until I start talking. So I still need a local to bring me along. So I try to do that for my friends. But really, you kind of go straight. Okay, we get along, let's find things to do, let's make memories. Great. The bonus is our husbands get along. Great. Let's do things together.
And sometimes I'm
Within
kind
the
of in the
headcount
past.
quota. Within the headcount quota.
Yeah. I've definitely, I know that I've forced Luke into a few situations where I'm like, we're just going to go.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
I don't really know. If you like him, you'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And but living in the present, that's kind of how I force him into living in the present. It's like, it's not a complete waste of time to go out there. You'll find something in common. And you literally will, because you're both foreign someplace. And then when you have somebody who's not, that's been foreign other places.
Yeah.
They know the feeling.
Yeah.
And so you're forced to live in the moment. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves to live in the moment, even though it's kind of given on us, because we're not necessarily in the past, we're living in the future. We always know there's something coming up.
Yeah.
So to shut that off has also been a skill I've had to learn.
Yeah.
Is to shut off the it's upcoming.
Yeah.
And even finding out, it could be in a year or whatever. That to me is like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Because I've taught myself to live right here, right now.
Yeah.
And I at the beginning, I took off a long time. I quit my job way in advance of our move, thinking I was going to have all this stuff. It really only happens in the last 2 weeks. Like, all things happen. Nothing can happen until then. And you realize
You spend so
that.
much time anticipating,
So, yeah.
and then boom, and you go, oh, what now? So one of my favorite reaction is, if not now, then when? And
Yeah.
when? You don't know what's going to happen. With what's going on in the world right now, being expat
Oh, yeah.
means that things happen a lot more fluid than before. We talk about scenario that because of the world economy is being affected, what's going on, roles change, company downsize. So even though you have a career plan with your HR company, but if they're downsizing or they're shutting down the operation in this country, you gotta go. So what you plan in 2 months might be gone.
Yeah.
So when
true
I know
right now.
something is amazing like this opportunity with you, I'm like, great, let's do it. Didn't think much to it. And then when, right?
Makes you more easygoing.
Being a trailing spouse involves a lot of sacrifice, and for some people, they feel that they may have to let go of certain dreams that they had before. What was that for you?
Being financially independent. I knew very well what I was signing myself up for when I agreed to be a trailing spouse. Because with a lot of countries, actually, it states very clearly a dependent pass holder are not allowed to work. So you need to basically secure a job with a company who is willing to pay for your employment pass in order to generate income. And I don't want to pay for my employment pass because I'm not a skilled individual where my income would cover the EP cost, or neither am I that skilled to the company that they happily pay for my EP because I'm going to be generating revenue for them, right? So that is my biggest struggle, from being an independent working adult to totally financially reliant on another individual that is not your parent or your family. That's a very strange concept. And it does, and it did, and still do every now and then make me sick in my tummy. The thought of, need to talk about money. Maybe it's the Asian culture that we don't talk about money that much growing up. Dad makes some money, mom makes some money, they handle the bills, they scream at you when you use too much aircon, you know. That's what it is. It's not addressed like, here, this is expenses for the month, what can we bring down, what do we do, what is the big bulk purchase coming up, or when we hit this certain amount we should invest, should we buy a property? It's all foreign, new to me. So having to adjust that mindset where if I see a bigger price item, I could have closed my eyes as a working individual and just pay for it myself, to the point where I go like, there is something that I really like. You feel like a child again, and it hurts. I struggle to deal with it, and I still struggle with it every now and then. Not because my spouse made me feel that way.
No.
Never. It's just me with my ego, my pride. We were brought up to be an independent individual, but this is the complete opposite of what I dream of being.
Yeah.
But this is life. They throw you curveballs.
Yeah. And I think not, transferring kind of everything over to, not really transferring, but, I'm not getting, I don't have a bank account getting a monthly or bi-monthly check. And then I'm not the one working towards getting the stock options and getting, you know what I mean, and having the financial account that gets put into and everything. But I've learned to accept that I fortunately, I don't know about the ins and outs of other relationships, but fortunately I'm on the end of, you know what I mean, of what we're doing, and it's always a joint effort in our incomes, and our, not me generating income, but he discusses as though I am. And he's brought in this money, but what are we doing?
Yeah.
And, I ask him, I don't need this, whatever, and I'll still, and it's kind of weird. I'm like, I'm going to surprise you with something that he brought in the money for it, you know. But me personally, I tried to do other things. Well, I'll do a little extra of this. We split other tasks, you know. The grocery shopping right now, it's ordering. But well, like we do, you know, split that. Well, I'll do extra on that, or I'll cover the time on this, so he doesn't have to go do that, or the cooking, or the cleaning, or whatever. We just try to add more to our joint efforts. And that's kind of, again, it's a personal thing. It bothers me a little. I don't really talk about it a lot to anybody, because it kind of just falls on deaf ears, which is okay. That's how it should. My husband doesn't care. I mean, it works out great. But I put myself. I do express to him though that it bothers me. And he makes an effort to reassure and show that it's okay.
There is an oversimplification that with a trailing spouse, money comes in from one party, goes out to another party. But another perspective is the other partner could be almost like the CEO or the sales team. They bring in the revenue. But the trailing spouse is like the COO, the Chief Operating Officer, or the CFO. You may not be bringing the money, but you're driving savings. You're looking for investment opportunities. You're looking for ways to make that wealth grow, or to save time, to make things more efficient, to allocate resources for the organization, the family in this case.
Good point.
So talk to us about your experience being that CFO or COO, and not really just that oversimplified view of you're not contributing financially.
Well, in this case, in my scenario, I'm not great or even good in investing. So my husband, Daren, he suggested back then, when I had my savings, that I should use an investment company to manage my portfolio. So he introduced me to that, and I used that, and that worked. And so then I get an idea that that's what he does, because he is very conservative when it comes to investment. So he goes with property, where he comes from, home country. He buy property, rents it out, and but also not at a crazy scale, not like watches the property market and go, this is time to go in. Just a very practical, like this is a location, it makes sense, okay. And also because we were moving back to his home country for a while, so it makes sense for us to buy there with the savings that we have. And something that I've learned along the way as a consumer, if I'm consuming in this brand all the time, then one of the better way to consume it is to invest in it. So that is something that I've picked up, that I started, instead of buying their goods, I buy their stocks.
No.
You know, because if I'm a loyal customer to this particular brand, that speaks volume, that you trust them. And instead of buying a product that has shelf life, maybe investing partial of the money into their stock if you believe in them enough to keep buying their product. So that's what I've done to date. Baby steps, just narrowing down companies that I am a regular consumer, I have huge confidence in, and just parking bit by bit of my savings, or his savings, our cash, bit by bit, little bit, nothing too extravagant. That in
But
amount
you're able
that,
to keep an eye on it because you have the time.
and I won't feel too bad if the stock number goes down. That I'm not gonna go like I lose my appetite for dinner. Not that I can live with it. Knowing it will pick up when life resumes back to normal. And also it's for long term. I'm not flipping.
Especially when you truly know the brand. My wife loves Hermes. My wife uses all Apple products.
There you go.
So she invests in them. Is it the highest possible gain like crypto? No. But is she confident investing in it and not thinking too much about it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think now when it comes to pure investments, when we're talking stocks and stuff, now my husband does handle that. He discusses with me, but that's because a lot of the money that we're investing comes from the company. That, like getting stock in their company at a discounted rate, and then using that to buy other stocks. So we discussed that, but it is essentially going through his, coming in through his paycheck, through his, you know what I mean? He's getting the little the dividends and stuff sent to him. I'm not looking at those daily, but when it comes down to, I'm now looking at not necessarily long-term investments, but I'm looking at the planning, the right here and right now, planning the money going into a vacation, which sounds so posh, but a vacation is also not necessarily a vacation, it's a trip home. It's a necessity.
As you've been through this journey, these years of being a trading spouse,
Yeah.
how have you grown as a person?
A lot. It's a constant evolution as an individual when you move. There are times because we have time in our hand, so there are a lot of time to reflect or overthinking.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful on that one. Letting yourself feel the emotion of what's going on. We both have the opportunity to move from an spouse, individual, and became parent at the same time. So we grow as a person, and we become very wary of our moving experience effect on the child. So very wary of the constant evolution, how it affects those around you as well. I'm pretty sure my friends, my best friend who I grew up with since secondary school, can tell you that I've changed tremendously from who I was almost 10 years ago. Having seen the world, how things don't work the way it works in Singapore at all. You just sit there and deal with it. Not calling someone to get it sorted, but just sit and wait for them to get it done. You can't complain. The feedback, no, you can't. They have their way of doing it, and respect that too. That is very important. Stand back and respect them, the host country way of doing things, and not tell them how to do things your way because it works in your country. So that is actually a very big learning lesson for me as an individual, to respect the boundary where the line is drawn.
Yeah, and awareness of that. I think awareness is something that, awareness of all the aspects in one individual situation. There's a lot of information that can come into you in uncomfortable situations or new situations, and being able to take them all in at once is something I've grown with. I didn't think my husband would definitely not would tell you that I'm pretty sure my empathy couldn't grow over empathetic many times, but I think as a couple we have discovered a different level of, and I wouldn't even say empathy, but understanding.
Yeah.
And finding where we can be a part of, I don't want to say solution because that indicates there's a problem, but a part of growth in wherever we are or the people we meet.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that's changed with me. That's something I've gained, is being part of somebody else's growth, not only trying to grow myself.
Yeah.
I think that's become very important to me.
Absolutely.
It's a big theme of growth, growing together with your family, with your spouse,
Yeah.
with fellow trading spouses. Do you then find yourself growing apart from some of your childhood friends who may not have left their hometowns?
Absolutely. We all evolve. It's a little hard to expect your friends to catch up with you because we are constantly exposed to different things, whereas some of your friends didn't have the opportunity or choose not to move away from their home country and stay in their comfort zone. They don't get to see what you see or experience what you experience. They can't see things with you.
Find it as entertaining as you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
It's difficult.
like an expat life, you meet friends for that period of time, you click it off, and then you go to another journey with new friends. There will be a handful close friends that will hold support pillar position in your life, but there will be friends that kind of be like a merry-go-round. Yeah, it's not because you fall off. It's just we are in different places in life now. You can't expect me talking to a friend who don't have children about parenting stuff. So it's just as simple as that.
It's very interesting to me. Also, social media has been a very big change because I've gone through an era where social media wasn't as big.
Yeah.
But it was still there when we first left.
Yeah.
But it really evolved, and a lot of people say, I don't want anything to do with social media. I'm not blessed with that. I don't get that choice because my family, that's how they keep in contact with me. My friends, that's how we can not talk every day. And they kind of have an idea. I try to not, and a lot of people can see, oh, well, that's probably really what's going on. I try not to put on a fake persona, but I don't put all the bad stuff. I do talk about those individually with people, but I do notice that going back when we first left was, it was really cool and interesting the first time we came back for vacation. And after that, it kind of was like, yeah, you go do that. We don't really, not that they don't care, but they can only relate so much. And so you do find that, but you find as you do this longer, you find ways to relate to them. You find ways to be in the moment with them. Not living your life and your thing in front of them. You try to be when you're there. You try to assimilate to what's new and interesting to them. And it's not negative. It's just you realize, oh, your life is really interesting to you. And it's not that it's not interesting to somebody else. It's just their life is interesting as well. You have to find value in that.
Agree. This life is a very hard decision to make, and some of us don't have the choice making this decision. It happens to us. What's one tip you would share to those of us who are going to become trailing spouses?
Be open. Be open to anything. It's unknown, and you won't know until you do it and try it. More often than not, it won't be amazing like they try to sell it to you, but you gain the experience. You will only know something until you're hands-on do it. So do it with an open mind. Stop comparing it to, no, this is not the way how things work at home.
No.
You need to drop that. That will just make your life miserable. Open mind. Accept it. This is how things work in this place. This is how it is. And I will respect it and take it from there.
I think I agree with that. I also want to take it a step further and learn. I want to advise people trailing spouses, whether it's a huge change or a small one, or it's really a small one and it's really big to you. No matter where it is or what you're doing, small or big, learn from it. Because there is something to learn, and that will only make you a better person, and then you can get that person to the world, the better side of you. And I think that is that's my number one goal, is to at least learn from it.
Elizabeth, Katherine, thank you for sharing your journey.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
We've learned a lot. This is not a topic that is commonly covered. If you found this video insightful and inspiring, please click the like button. If you know someone who's a trailing spouse, share your story. Happy to hear them. Click subscribe to stay updated to more interviews like this. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon.